Next 10. How's everybody feeling? Before I even start, I just like to start every presentation or every speech with a moment of gratitude. Just because for me, being here right now is a miracle. For each and every one of you being here right now is a miracle. We all woke up this morning, we're able to move around, see loved ones, breathe air, and make it to this very event, this very space, this safe space where we can network and connect. And that's a blessing right there. So if you're like me and you count your blessings, if you're like me and you appreciate being right here in this very moment, give me 2 claps. 2 claps. Now, if you want me to get started, let me hear you say, let's go! So as my sister Sarah said early on, I'm from Rexdale. And everybody know where Rexdale is? We're all from Toronto, most of us here from Toronto. And she said a lot about Rexdale. And everything she said, I was involved in at a young age. So when I say I'm grateful to be here, when I say it's a miracle that I'm here, I'm not even fabricating. It really is. And in high school, you know, she was a smart one. This girl right here, like she was at the library studying, doing everything. Me, I was finding ways to play basketball, football, doing extracurricular activities that I shouldn't be doing. In my grade 9 year, I literally failed every class except for 2 classes. Can anybody guess? Phys ed. I was a phys ed teacher. We don't say gym. We take that personally. Phys ed, and what else? Drama. Those are the only 2 classes I passed. And I don't know how, but somehow, some way, I made it to university. I don't know. I'll say football. Football saved my life, but I was fortunate enough to make it to university. And I went to a school called St. Francis Xavier University in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. Anybody know where that is? Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, what years? That's all good. Does he have one of these? No, he does not. Oh, we gotta talk. So I went to St. FX, which is in Nova Scotia, and a place where in my classes I'm the only black person, literally. I'm in an environment where I feel like I don't fit in. I look around, I do not fit in. So what happens is I start to put on a shell. What happens is I start to get angry at my environment, angry within, and I start to get involved in things that I shouldn't be getting involved in. In my first year at university, I got in fights every single weekend, finding reasons to take my anger out on people. In my first year at university, I literally had a letter from the dean of students saying I was being expelled from university. In my first year at university, I caught a charge in university. Like I said, I got out of Rexdale. I got out of my environment. And I was in a new environment that was supposed to lead me to higher education, a good job. But in here, I was still in Rexdale. So it wasn't until I got that letter from the dean, it wasn't until I caught a charge, and it wasn't until I got surgery on my hand from a fight that I got in that I actually started to wake up. So I'm gonna tell you about my past 10 before I get into my next 10. And I know I only got like 15 minutes, so I'm gonna just give you the quick highlights. So, like I said, I was in university, and I turned it around at the right time, and before you knew it, like I said, I was on the verge of being expelled. And once I turned it around, in my last years of university, I became the poster boy of the school. I mean, my picture was everywhere. And I became academic all-Canadian. A kid who failed every class except for phys ed and drama, academic all-Canadian. That means I had an over 80 average. So I'm graduating university now, and I get an opportunity to teach in Fort McMurray, Alberta. Anybody know where Fort McMurray, Alberta is? There we go. You're from Winnipeg?
No, BC
BC,
originally.
okay. Neighboring province, got you. So Fort McMurray, Alberta, a place where a lot of my university coaches and teammates told me not to go there. They're like, Kwame, why would you go there? It's like cold, minus 40. Like minus 40 is a real thing out there. You got in the winters, you got to plug in your car. They're like, Kwame, there's a lot of rednecks out there. Kwame, there's a lot of drugs. Kwame, you're gonna hate it. All this being told to me. But I'm the type of person where if you tell me I shouldn't do something, if you tell me I can't do something, I will do it. So I go to Fort McMurray, Alberta, and you know what? My first year, I was depressed. And I was thinking about everything people told me, and that's exactly what I was feeling. I felt isolated. I felt like, what am I doing here? Keep in mind, I'm not even playing football anymore, so I'm struggling with my identity also. And I remember talking to my girlfriend at the time and telling her everything that was going on and complaining about everything. And as I was complaining about everything, she pretty much mirrored everything I was saying. And as she was talking, I realized exactly how I sounded. And right then and there, I made a conscious decision to change things around. So I started working out again, because the gym is important to me. My physical health is important to me. I got involved within the community, created a nonprofit organization where we mentor youth through the sport of football. And I started coaching. Started coaching football, finding a way to get back to one of my loves in life. And from that, I got numerous awards within the city. I started feeling like the guy again, you know, like when I was on the university campus. And then I started getting awards, as I said, and I felt like I finally am somewhere where I belong. But then I got that big fish in a small pond thing, right, where I felt like, okay, this is the only place I can do this. I can't go to Toronto. There's a bunch of guys just like me in Toronto. I can't go to Calgary. I gotta stay in the small town because I feel appreciated here. I feel like I can succeed here. I'm comfortable here. 2016, there's a wildfire in my city, Fort McMurray, Alberta, where 88,000 people had to evacuate the city. That day, at lunchtime, I remember going to buy a slab. I know we shouldn't be talking about pizza and stuff. We're talking about nutrition early on. That day, I went to go buy pizza at lunch. And there was a gas station right beside where I was, and my gas was at about, I had a quarter tank. And usually, I would put gas in around that time. I was kind of lazy. I was like, I'll do it later on. I go back to school. I'm teaching a class, and then the kids are all on their phones, and then the principal goes on the PA system and says what's going on, and we realize everybody has to leave, right? So now I have to make sure all the kids leave safely, their parents come and get them, and then after that, then I can think about my own well-being. I leave school. First of all, I left school, and you couldn't go anywhere. Everywhere you looked, it was bumper to bumper. The scene was like any Armageddon movie you've ever seen on TV or in the movie theaters. Finally, I find my way to go to a gas station, and there's no gas. The pumps are empty. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Let me tell you something about Fort McMurray. Fort McMurray is about 4 hours north of Edmonton. The nearest, between Fort McMurray and Edmonton, there's only one stop where you could get gas, and it's about 2 hours. Fort McMurray there's only one way to get into Fort McMurray. There's only one way in and one way out. And like I said, Edmonton was south, and north is like, you don't even know what's north. So now I go home and I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I literally had to take a shower because I was just frantic. I was thinking this is the end of my life, like I was shaking. Trying to go take a quick shower just to reset, regroup. I go take a shower, I come out, I'm like, okay, let's make a plan. Let's do something. I go to my car. I had a jerry can in my car, so I grabbed my jerry can and I decided to walk to another gas station because I don't want to use too much gas by driving somewhere. And keep in mind, the streets are all bumper to bumper. To go anywhere, you might have to drive on the grass at this point. So I go to a gas station, another gas station actually, and once again, the pumps are empty. Fortunately, as I'm walking, I hear somebody honking me, and I look and I see it's one of my students' fathers. And also a player on my, I only got 1 minute? Holy. And I see that it's a player's father. And it's a player who there was a lot of controversy about. It's a player whose father that people said a lot of negative things about prior to me even knowing him. But I built a great relationship with him. And he saw me. He's like, Kwame, you need gas? I'm like, yeah, bro. And he's like, okay, show me where your car is, and I'll give you gas. So he followed me to my car, and he gave me a whole jerry can full of gas, enough to get me to where I needed to be. I gotta speed it up because apparently I only got 1 minute. Like I said, I always felt like I could only do what I was doing in Fort McMurray, Alberta, right? So after that fire, I had to live in Calgary for about 3 months because we evacuated our city. Our city literally was burnt, half of it. So I'm in Calgary now, and while I'm in Calgary, I realized that I can actually do the things I was doing in Fort Mac. So I start training some players, I start making some connections, and now I make the plan that I'm gonna move to Calgary in the next year. I bought a house in Calgary, literally that summer. But then I got on a show called The Amazing Race Canada. And it's a big deal in Fort McMurray, Alberta. So I'm like, man, I can't just leave these people. We just had this fire, people are feeling the show. I don't want to be big time now to them. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna stay at least a year and enjoy the experience with the city. So every week we had a watch party with everybody in the community. Later on that year, now I'm thinking, okay, it's time to make a move. So I started applying to different schools within Calgary, because I have a house in Calgary, and nothing is happening. I'm getting interviews, not getting jobs. Another interview, no job. Then the following year comes up, and my ex-wife was pregnant with our son. And one thing I told myself about Fort McMurray is that when I get there, is that whenever I'm gonna have a child, I'm leaving that place, right? So we're pregnant, and I was just like, it's time to leave. It's time to get back to Toronto or GTA to be closer to my family. I get an opportunity to come coach at Queen's University. I took it. I ended up teaching at a school in Kingston, which is in a penitentiary. So now I'm teaching grown men who have made some bad decisions in their life. Some of them reading at a level of a grade 5, right? And I'm doing that. And the thing about that experience is that I wasn't even gonna do it. When I first got the opportunity, I was like, why the heck am I gonna teach in a prison? I got out there. I got out of Rexdale. Why am I gonna do that? But I got so much fulfillment doing it. I got so much fulfillment impacting those guys in there. I know this is a conversation, this event is about the next 10. So I want to talk about my next 10 real quick. I'm sorry, you gotta give me like 5 minutes. One thing I've noticed about my journey is that whenever I've made plans, God, the universe, whatever you want to say, humbled me. Because whatever I wanted, he switched it up, gave me something better. And the thing is that sometimes we think we're married to our dreams, our goals, and aspirations. We think we're married to them when we actually become prisoners of them. You see, being married to something is like adaptable. You're doing it together. You got to adapt, or you got to grow together, right? The ebbs and the flows. That's marriage. But being a prisoner to something is that you're stuck. And sometimes the things we want to achieve may come in different forms. But we're so stuck and rigid on one particular form that we actually can't see the possibilities of it being wrapped in something else. It's like a story I heard one time of a guy who was stuck at sea. He was on an island stuck, and he started praying to God to come save him. And then one day, somebody was rowing in a rowing boat, rowing by, and he asked the person, hey, do you need help? He's like, nah, God's gonna save me. Why? Because that wasn't the way he thought he was gonna be saved. So for me, for my next 10, what I gotta tell you all is this. I've chosen to just be present in the present. Because the present is a present. Because being right here, right now is a miracle, as I just said. Because at the end of the day, the only moment that really matters is right now. The past brought you to right now. The future is created right now. The only moment that matters is right now. When we're focused on the past, that's how depression starts to come. We're always thinking about the future, anxiety. So right now. And right now is an opportunity to network. Right now is an opportunity to create new relationships. And with regards to networking, I'm gonna finish off on this. With regards to networking, I encourage each and every one of you to approach the conversations you have today authentically. Approach them authentically. Every conversation doesn't have to seem transactional. It's not a transaction. Make it interactional. Get to know the person you're talking to. Get to know them on a deeper level. It's not about the title, it's not about the credentials. It means nothing if you can't connect. It means nothing. So really take the time to get to know the people you speak with today. And that conversation might not lead to something right away. It might not, but if it was positive, the next conversation could. If it was positive, that person could recommend you to somebody else. But let's just have an interactional experience today. So for me, the next 10, I really don't know what the next 10 holds for me, but one thing I do know is that I'm gonna enjoy every single moment leading to it. Thank you so much. Much love.